Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, happy day to you. Today, it is time for Real Estate Real World, and I'm Marguerite Crespillo, your hostess. We're really excited because we just found out we have had 35,000 downloads to Real Estate Real World, which is amazing. I never in my wildest dreams thought that it would be that crazy, but it's really exciting. And thanks to all of you fantastic listeners for sharing and spreading the word on our podcast. Today, I'm excited to have a great new guest, Christi Gillentine. And I'm pretty sure I got that because I double checked. And I'm excited to talk to her because let's tell you a little bit about her. Christi Gillentine is a renowned figure in the real estate industry, making her mark since becoming a realtor in 2004. In 2009, she founded the 918 home team in Tulsa, Oklahoma, leading it to prominence with visionary leadership and a trailblazing approach. With a commitment to customer-centric practices, Christy's team consistently outpaces challenges and adapts to market changes. Beyond her achievements in sales management and exclusive listings for premier builders, she has overseen the sale of over 4,000 homes, solidifying the 918 home team as a top 10 team in Oklahoma. As a dedicated coach, Christy imparts her business expertise to agents, emphasizing continuous growth and achievement. Her accolades include the Best of Brokers Aero Real Estate Business Award and recognition as a top 100 real estate professional. Christi Gillentine's unwavering commitment to excellence continues to shape the real estate landscape. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. I'm excited to chat with you. I love meeting new people. So I was really excited to see your information come across, and I'm like, I need to get to know this gal a little bit.
Thank you. I was excited to be invited. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. So you've been in real estate now, let's be 10 years this year, right?
20.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's right. What kind of math? That's why I failed algebra 3 times. So there you
That's
go.
okay.
2004. Yes. 20 years,
Yep.
30 years for me. So it was 30 in December. So that's pretty cool. That's a long time. So you've been through all the markets.
Yeah. Saw 2008 hit us here differently than it did some of the areas. Saw the aftermath of that. Going through the changes now with the current shift that we're dealing with. So it's interesting. But you've been in it long enough, you see the patterns and you can see where things are trending. And I really keep my eye on that.
I have a saying that great agents do well in any market.
Right.
And they do because they adapt and adjust to whatever those changes are.
Absolutely.
So what is right now we have a lot going on in the market. I don't know what your market's like in Oklahoma. I know that out here, I'm in Northern California, and we're still dealing with the lack of inventory stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And we are seeing, interesting, because we talked a little bit about this before the show, and I wanted to ask you about it. You're doing a lot of work or have done quite a bit of work with new home sales. And
Right.
those seem to be just like rising to the top. I want to say over 50% of our sales in our market last year were new home builders and new home sales. What are your thoughts on that?
So absolutely. And the market is demanding it. There is a huge lack of inventory, as we know, and therefore there is a huge demand for housings. And one of the things that I keep trying to talk to other agents about is this is how buyers win in this market is with new homes. Because if you're out there and you're looking for a home that's already on the market, that's built and been sitting there, and maybe it's 10, 20 years old, 30 years old, you're going to be competing with all the other buyers that are also in that same price point. Because as we know, we're still coming in over list price. We're still having multiple offers. I don't know about your market. We are. So with new construction, it's a little bit different because if somebody buys that house, they can just go build another house down the street. So essentially there is the ability to have the inventory that you need Most of the time, they're going to, at least in our market, they're going to pay your closing costs. They're probably going to give you incentives. I've seen incentives such as 4.99 interest rates, 4.5 interest rates in this market. So essentially, as a buyer, you can come in, you're not competing with other buyers. You're getting incentives from the builder, you're getting your closing costs paid. And if you're lucky, you're getting an amazing rate as well. So that I see is what's really driving these new home sales.
And what's interesting about the new home sales, at least I see this in my market, is a lot of them won't, they don't drop the price because they want the appraisals to stay high, right?
Yeah,
But they're offering all kinds of incentives at the back door, upgrades and landscaping and closing cost credits and a number of other things. But the
absolutely.
struggle is, I don't know about your market, some of the builders out here are not offering any kind of agent compensation.
Now that we're not seeing in our market. We have seen it go down a little bit. So some of the builders were offering lower compensation a couple years ago, but they have come back up since somewhat of a more shift, if you will. But no, they're still, as a matter of fact, we have DR Horton's the largest builder in the United States, and they were offering 4% commission all through December.
Nice. I
Yeah,
know that Lennar, who was a big one out here, wasn't paying. And then I was like, okay, so you're not going to pay a commission to the agents, but you also want us to use your title companies.
right.
So it's been a challenge. The interesting thing is that I think a lot of agents don't give enough credit to the new homes, and you need to go out and see the inventory that's in your market. Like what
That,
is going on in the new homes? Because where I live in an area that's growing pretty
yeah,
rapidly, and we have probably 10 new home subdivisions in within 10 miles of my house.
yeah.
And it's interesting to go in and see. And I'm curious, and maybe the answer to this or not, but we're seeing a lot more of the over 55 communities coming up in our area. There's 3 within 5 miles of my house.
That's interesting. We do have 2 here that I know of that are new build neighborhoods that are over 55, but those are actually luxury price point properties, very high end. I have seen in the past here townhomes and more of a downsizing for over 55, but I'm not seeing that currently in this market.
Well, some of these new home, these over 55, they are like resorts,
Yes.
literally resort living. Like
Yeah.
there's one down the street called Esplanade. And they have bars and pools and pickleball and
Oh,
workout
wow.
rooms and Pilates, and you can rent cabanas by the pool. And
Oh my
it's like,
gosh.
why? It's I've sold 3 in there. It's been great. It's quite a resort.
Yeah.
But the new homes, they're doing things differently. We're seeing not only a lot more of the over 55, but we're seeing now the ones that have the, what do they call it? They have a second unit, like a multi-family
Mother-in-law.
living.
Yeah.
Which has
They've
been
kind of
really popular.
touched on that. We've seen 2 master type floor plans become more and more popular for people that do have family that are in multi-generations and things like that. It's
Yeah.
interesting always to see the trends in the different markets and how the builders are building to suit those needs.
So you mentioned that you're rebuilding your team, and what does that look like, and what kind of people are you looking for to be a part of your team?
So for me, I always want agents that are coachable, growth oriented, able to work a plan, have some self discipline, and are team players. And then, of course, one of the most important things is really care about the people that they're serving. And I think with those ingredients, I can usually find a phenomenal agent.
It's funny, my previous guest I had on the show that I was recording today, we were talking about how a big challenge in the real estate industry is a lot of agents just don't look at it like a business.
Yeah.
They don't really look at, there's that famous saying, everyone wants to go to heaven, no one wants to die. So they all want the results and they want the money that comes with it, but they don't necessarily want to put in the work that is associated. And I think we're seeing the natural cleansing of the industry, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that. And statistically, I think it's 50% leave in the first year, 50% on that second year, and then another 25, 30 on the third year. So if you can make it past 3 years in the industry, you're probably doing good. But it's those people that have those skill sets that are doing that. Because by year 3, you're really taking off and doing big things. Not that you can't in your first 2 years as well. You absolutely can. But that's what I see with that.
It's interesting too because I've said this a couple times. We have a whole generation of real estate agents, and consumers that since 2010 have not seen a challenging market, right?
Yeah.
So they've literally, all we've seen is prices continue to rise and interest
Yeah.
rates continue to be low. So when the interest rates like bumped up last year, like people didn't know what to do. They're like, they were like lost and confused. I'm like, for most of my career, rates were in the 5 to 8%. Like when they
Yeah.
got down into the twos and threes, we thought it was insane. So not only do we have all these real estate agents who are having to adjust, but consumers are really having to adjust to the what's really going on. Like we're not in the same
Absolutely.
market where you were
Well, they're in
getting
a
all the
position in which maybe they have 3% interest on the home that they're currently living in, and maybe their lifestyle has changed and they have to sell or they want to sell, but they feel stuck because they know it's going to cost them so much more to live. So it is an issue. And
yeah,
I will say it's probably a better issue than some things that we could be dealing with. We could be dealing with people sitting at home with 18% interest rates and not going
that's
anywhere. We're always trying to find that solution for the market. Some people are going to be really lucky and be able to stay in their home for a long time as long as it suits their needs. The other guys that do have to move, it's like, how do we find solutions for them? And some of them, we may not be able to solve all those problems. We can't solve the rates. We can't solve the fact that maybe they got their home at X rate and they're going to come in at maybe they got it at 3 and they're gonna come in at 6 in their next one, but there's ways in which we can position them to at least get the best for that next purchase, and that could look like a lot of different things, a lot of different things.
what did you do before you got into real estate?
I was a mom, so actually when I got into real estate, I had a 5-year-old and 4-year-old twins, and I ran a
Oh,
business I yeah, they're 11 months apart, and that's why I came into real estate, actually. I came in with the team concept.
wait a minute, hold on. So you had a 5-year-old, you had a son,
Yep,
and then 11 months later, you had twins. So you
had
had
twins.
3 kids under 2.
Yeah, 3 kids under 1. 3 kids under 1. Yeah. He was there. My oldest was at their first birthday, or they were at his first birthday. They were a month old at his first birthday. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my 2 youngest are 17 months apart, and I thought that was
Well,
rough.
you know.
So they're all grown now.
They're
So they're
all
what, 20?
grown.
Yeah.
They're all super close. My daughter worked for me for years in the industry. She's actually in law school now. My boys never did really get into real estate, but yeah, they probably honestly have seen more houses than most people because when they were young and you do what you gotta do, especially when I was young in this industry and I didn't have a lot of business going on, and I trained my agents to do this years later as well. I committed to seeing 20 homes a week. So if I'm
I
not
love
showing
that.
buyers, if I wasn't showing buyers and I didn't have anything going on, we're going to go see 20 homes a week. And I had the kids. So what I would do is I would pick a neighborhood and I would find if there's a neighborhood and they've got 10 homes and maybe 5 of them are vacant. I wasn't disturbing people that lived in the homes at the time. I would go and I would preview those homes. And so, yeah, they've probably seen hundreds of homes.
I love that so much because that is some of the advice I give agents all the time is to get up and go look at homes if you don't have anything going on. Because I don't know if you've had the same experience, you probably have, but I can't tell you how many times I've walked through a house and then in the next 24 hours, maybe 48, I meet somebody and I'm like, I just looked at
Yep.
a house like 2 days ago that would be perfect for you. It
Yep.
just always seems to tie together because energy
Always.
creates energy. And it's
Absolutely.
happened to me more times than I can count.
And how many
And
times, right, did you go out and you did that and then a week later you get a listing appointment in that neighborhood and now you can just talk, "Oh, I saw that house up the street. It has ABC in it." And it's just naturally coming out. It's just a natural conversation.
yeah,
So
knowing your inventory is like nothing else. Like I have a friend, Nick, I gotta get him on the podcast and he has a Sotheby's and he's a big luxury agent. And I remember asking him his story. He goes, I was new and I had a wife and baby at home. And he goes, so I would literally go out and spend all day driving in the neighborhoods that I wanted to sell in. And
yeah.
sometimes I would just park my car in front of the house. And when people come by to get flyers, I'd pull out the flyer and hand it to him and say, can I show it to you? And he ended up getting to know all the people. He knew
Yeah.
every house, he knew every inventory, he knew every little nook and cranny of the areas and neighborhoods. And he's an extraordinary human being. He sells stupid amounts of real estate and high-end luxury, but he did that by getting out there
Yeah.
and getting to know the inventory and getting to know the neighborhood. I don't know why more agents don't do that, but I think that's probably one of the best things I hear.
And think about this, Marguerite. If I was going to do that today and I wanted to go and preview a bunch of homes, how much work it's going to take me. So I'm going to have to go in there. I'm going to find these homes. I'm going to set up the appointments, yada, 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 go out there and show them. Or I can go buy a model home in a new construction neighborhood and I could see homes just boom. So
Right.
there's different ways of doing that. But yeah, getting out there and getting to know the inventory is really a huge key for success for newer agents. I believe so.
So, what is your favorite part about being a real estate agent? What part do you love?
There's 2 parts. I really love making sure that clients are taken care of. So anybody that's working with people on my team, I want them to have the most amazing experience. And I know a lot of say that, but that's a big deal. We're dealing with people's most stressful event in their life and helping guide them through that. That's a big part of it for me. But training people how to help guide people through that. So helping others create their career, elevate their career, grow their business. That is a huge passion for me as well. And I actually learned that from growing my team and helping people join me that maybe they have been doing real estate for years and they were able to join the team and then double their income within a year just by plugging in and doing the right things, just little pivots here and there. So that's always been a big passion for me as well.
What is your biggest challenge or frustration with the industry?
I would say in the last couple of years, it is new people coming in and thinking that this is how real estate is. That has been really frustrating because as you and I know, this market we had was anomaly of lack of housing and extremely low interest rates. And I had never seen a market where we could put a house on the market and know that we're going to get 12 offers by the end of the day or the end of the week. Like, when did that ever happen before? So
Right.
I know a market in which it's a 6 months inventory and you're going to have a long conversations with these sellers over a period of time because the house isn't, it's going to take time for the market to absorb it. So that was frustrating for me because what happened was I'm big on teams, obviously, because some people thrive by themselves, but I do think that success can be found on the right team. So a lot of agents didn't want to deal with that because they just had business falling into their laps. And what we're seeing now is a lot of those same agents struggling and trying to find the answers so that they can do maybe what they did when the market was phenomenal. How do they continue that? Because it's not coming as easy and it is a lot harder. And I hate to say it, but I don't think our market's going to do fine, but I don't think our inventory pool is going to necessarily improve in the next 12 months. So, how do we as agents deal with that?
So, we were talking a little bit about the new homes and it's still the lack of inventory that we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And I know that there's a great guy here locally. He only does local stuff, but he's an appraiser. His name's Ryan Lundquist. And he's super amazing. He's always pulling these stats and reports and things like that to show us. And he has said the same thing. He doesn't think that the inventory problem is going to be solved anytime soon. Because even for some of these builders, if they go buy the land today, sometimes that whole process can take
A
years
long
depending on
time. Yeah.
where you're at. Like we
Yeah.
have a lot of farmland in our area, a lot of agricultural land. So we have a thing called the Williamson Act. And if you buy the land, it has to be non-producing for 10 years before you can convert it into residential land. So it was to keep them from going in and buying all the farmland and then not
Right.
us not having farmland. But I know even in our market, it's definitely the inventory thing is a challenge. But it's weird. It's a catch 22 because sellers think that there's no inventory and that they're going to get ridiculous prices for their home and they're going to get all these multiple offers. So they're not being realistic
Mhm.
about pricing their home. And then they wonder when the house doesn't sell right away.
And
And when
that's
it
what we're
didn't
seeing.
get
We're seeing those
the
days on
offer.
market tick up
Mhm,
a little bit.
mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's taking some time to really stop and make sure that as an agent, you really understand, which is again, I'm going to take them back because I think it was brilliant what you said. I preach that all the time about getting out there and actually seeing the homes and the inventory so
Yeah.
you can compare apples to apples.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to have conversations with people when you've seen the inventory, when you can have conversations and be knowledgeable. And it just gives that confidence to an agent that they do know what they're talking about because they're out there putting in the work. Sure, maybe they're not selling houses just yet, or maybe their production has slowed down a little bit, but they're still doing the work. They're still doing the industry stuff, and they're still going to be able to easily have conversations with their clients when that time comes because they're staying relevant in what's happening.
100%. So what are you excited about in this next coming year? What direction are you going? What are you working on right now?
I'm really excited. I am excited about new construction because I do see it as such a big opportunity. I'm also really excited about regrowing my team, coming back in from new construction itself with this company that I'm with EXP now. I've been with EXP since October, and I'm honestly shocked at the resources that are available that I had no idea. I had no idea. And I'm almost 50, and I was able to plug in and just figure it out just easy. Being able to regrow my team in a way that is a little bit different than it was before, because we're more of a self-organized team. And I'm very excited about that because agents can do their own thing, but also still be part of a really big network.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been with EXP now almost 7.5 years. It was 7 years in October. So I've been with EXP for a while and it just keeps getting better and better. This
Yeah.
isn't intended to be an EXP pitch fest. It continues to grow and advance. And it's fun because having been in real estate 30 years, I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces that I've known over the years who are now here, right? And
Right.
collaboration over competition is rises true within this
Yeah.
company and all the options and opportunities that you have here and that are being built for our agents. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And we've got people in this company that were leaders in other companies, other real estate companies, which I wasn't aware they were here until I came and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite that's here right now is Leo Pareja, and I've known Leo for many years from the REO days. I remember him when he was, because he's young, he's still young, but when I met him back in the REO days, I was a big REO agent, and he was crushing it back then. I want to say he was like in his 20s. I'm like, who is this young punk? And now he's here at EXP and he's doing some phenomenal things. So it's really fun to watch people go through these transitions in their career and in their life. And now he's married with
Yeah.
young kids. And it's powerful to see.
You had mentioned REO, and that kind of brought me to I'm going through the modules for REO and Relo certification for EXP. And I hadn't done that at my last brokerage. They didn't necessarily offer that to everybody. And I did prior to at other brokerages, but I hadn't dealt with REOs since the market correction of
Yeah.
2008 ish. And
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is we're going to see REOs in our future, but it's not going to be residential. I'm hearing
I would
commercial.
agree. Yeah, I would agree. And
So
there's also a division, and I can get you more information about this online, or if anyone's listening, they're free to reach out. Is one area that Leo was significant in developing is institutional investors. And
mhm.
where these investors went in and bought blocks and blocks of houses, right? Now a lot of them are selling them.
Yeah,
And so they are doing it through EXP Realty. So I think
nice.
EXP Realty handed out like 1,400 properties in the last couple weeks from these institutional investors.
When we're
It's exciting.
exactly, when we're talking about how does a realtor navigate this market if there's a lack of inventory, it's resources like this, right? It's resources of large, a big group that maybe an individual company, a small independent brokerage maybe doesn't have access to those resources, such as connections with these large companies. And now you have a listing and now you have something that you can market with that from. So you always have to be thinking about, sure, nobody's going to be selling right now, but where are those other opportunities? And that could be REOs. That could be saying, hey, maybe I need to look into commercial.
It's funny because my quote I created, my favorite quote, I'm sure I created it, is you get paid in direct proportion to your ability to figure shit out, right? So you have to get resourceful. You have to get
Yeah.
scrappy and creative and find ways to get business if you want to make it in this business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can go back to doing whatever you were doing before or go and get an hourly job, or which I'm not cut out for that. The reality is that there's tons and tons of options and opportunity. You just have to find it and you have to put in the effort and the work to get out there and see what's available. Yeah. Christy, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm super grateful for you joining us today. Is there any parting words you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, I would just say, guys, just if you're struggling out there, find a group, find a tribe of agents that hold yourselves accountable and keep that energy going because that really keep that mindset. And I
Yeah.
think that's the main thing. And just be looking for opportunities. If one door closes, two more will open.
I love that. I love that. And get out there and look at houses. Get to know your inventory. That's my favorite quote of the day today. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us. It's been a true pleasure getting to know you. Hopefully I'll see you at a EXP event here coming up soon.
absolutely.
And everybody, thank you for joining us again on Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people. And if you have questions, thoughts, ideas, would love to hear your comments, feedback. Be sure to share on all your social media channels. It helps us with the rankings so we could go from 35,000 to 50,000. That's my goal. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Go out and make it an amazing day. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.